do big welcome. I just wanted to say hello at the beginning. I have got images and PowerPoint to show you, and the reason for that is that because the archetypes are very visual and I want to demonstrate how they relate, and visual is such a beautiful way to share a story. I will be including PowerPoint, but it's definitely not death by PowerPoint, so be assured. We've got a few more people coming on. So what I'm going to do, hello Angela, hello Jennifer, hello Kerry. So what I'm going to do is just say a big welcome at this point and say, you know, it's just amazing that you've been able to come onto the call. I love it. And look, it's a really busy time with Christmas, and yet you've been able to invest the time in yourself, because this truly is the next level of your communication in relation to, and I'll share how this has come about and why very soon, but it's the next level of communication in relation to knowing yourself and your communication style and how best to get your message out into the world. So big acknowledgement there. We've had a big year with 2020, and I think with Christmas just around the corner, it's a brilliant way to close off 2020 and celebrate something new in your communication, which is what I'd love to do with you right now. So what I'm going to do, some of you haven't met Claire yet, Claire Edwards. Claire is handling the administration side with all the chat room and the questions that we have. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions as well. We'll do that at the end. And so she's handling all the back end. So if you have any queries or you have any questions, pop it into the chat room and she will be taking care of you 100%. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint and let's dive in. This is going to be fun. Righty-ho. Yep. Okay. So can you all, here we go. Can you all see the big screen on the right-hand side with just one image? Yep. Oh, good. Fantastic. We are working. I've got the thumbs up from Claire, so that's great. So what I'd love to do is just to ask you a question, a couple of questions, and look, have a think about why you've actually come on the call today, because there's, you know, with is it because you're wanting to improve your communication? Is it because you're perhaps feeling that there's a disconnect happening with your communication? Maybe you're not feeling heard, or maybe you're wanting to make your message clearer, but you feel like there's something that needs to happen in order for that to happen. Or perhaps you're here because you're just plain curious, and that's a good thing. All of those are great answers, and just have a think about what's your purpose for being here. And so I've got a beautiful quote. So what we're doing is the ultimate communication archetypes. It says for professional woman, and I know we've got a couple of guys, so Shane, it is for you as well. Ignore the woman, cross it out. You know it's for you as well. And look, I'm talking about being effectively communicating in these uncertain times, but it's even more than that, isn't it? Because, you know, we've got Christmas around the corner, and I know when I've spoken to people that sometimes Christmas can be the most stressful time when it's communicating with family, with friends, with, you know, people we haven't seen for a while, or networking events. It can be really quite stressful as far as not really enjoying the process. And but the thing is, when you know your ultimate communication archetypes, you actually know your style, then it makes a world of difference and it actually becomes fun. And that's what my intention is for you today, is to see how you can apply this and have fun with it. So lovely, lovely quote by Tony Robbins. And I love this quote because it really speaks volumes, doesn't it? You know, in order to effectively communicate, we need to understand how others perceive the world, because if we don't, then how can we adjust and adapt our communication to be able to speak to others? And so with that, let's just have a look at what the purpose is of this webinar. And see what you relate to, and then we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So understanding and embracing your style, your natural style of communication, in understanding how it influences your business, how it influences your personal conversations, how it influences everything to do with communication. So I think thinking through that filter or those filters, how is it impacting and influencing your life in general? The second reason for running this webinar is to really unlock that potential in you. Who are you as an ultimate communicator and leader? Because we're all very, very different. And this is where the ultimate communication archetypes have come up, because we are all very different in the way that we communicate. So it's understanding who you are as a leader, as a communicator and a leader first. And the third one is to give you some insights into what these 8 ultimate communication archetypes are. So without further ado, what I would love to share with you is to get into the insights and overview of all of that. Now, we're here together until 11. Not sure, your time will be 8 o'clock, Shane, I think, and Claire will be 12. But we will be doing an hour together where you'll get an opportunity to ask your questions at the end. So we'll pop them into the chat room. You'll also, I encourage you to take notes so that you can really jot down some of the things that you feel relate to you. You're also going to get a copy of this recording. That's my gift to you, because I know you're going to want to come back and actually have a look at what has been, said and shared, the questions, and really sort of go a little bit deeper with that. So I'm going to gift that recording to you. And I'm also going to encourage you and invite you, if you want to actually share it with people that you feel would benefit, because this is about really getting to know who you are so that you can make a difference in the world. That's the big thing. And I will share at the end how you can find out more about this, but we'll do that at the very end if you choose to. Okay, so let's get started. Alrighty. So this is, I don't know if Chris, my husband's on the call. I'm hoping he's been able to get on. I'm just going to take a sip of water. But this is my wonderful Chris, and we actually met through dancing. And this was one of our early dancing days. So out there on the ballroom floor, well, we've actually known each other 30 years, and we've been married for 27 of those. And it was when I was out here actually on our veranda that I was reflecting with Chris just on 2020, because it's been just such a massive year. There's been so much change. And I was just reflecting with him, and it was, I actually had my cup of rose vanilla tea in my hand because I love that. And we're just thinking about, what has happened over the year. And it was then that I had this massive aha. Now, as I say, Chris and I have been together for 30 years, and not all of it has been plain sailing. There has been ups and downs. There's been, Chris has been through 2 cancers. The last cancer was when we really didn't know how he was going to cope with the treatment, because it was his second one with chemo. I lost a baby 6 months into my pregnancy, and I've had multiple miscarriages, and we made the decisions about poor choices. And I know we can all relate to that on some level. And I also know that that many marriages would have broken up with such major things happening in them. But what I have found, and this is the big aha for me, the massive aha that happened, and it relates to where we're going on this call, is that the way, I was married before. For those of you who don't know it, I was married before, and the marriage only lasted 5 years. We are my marriage with Chris, we are more in love than what we have ever been. And why is that? And I remember turning to Chris and going, okay, so why did my first marriage, fall in a puddle? And why has our marriage been so successful? And of course, in his cheeky way, he turned around and says, well, you married the right guy the second time, of course. And I said, yeah, you're right, absolutely. But why did it work? And that was the massive aha. Because, it's that open communication without the ego that really makes the difference. But it's more than that. And this is the aha that I had that was the initiator, the start of the ultimate communication archetypes, because the way that I've been helping, or the way that I live my life, the way we have our marriage and our personal life, is in fact the way that I have been helping my clients to create the success that they want, create the success in their business and create the success in their personal life. I've been using the same success strategies, and that was a massive aha for me. And so it's with this awareness that the ultimate communication archetypes came about. And this is why I'm so grateful for 2020 and the difficulties we've had, because it actually made me step back, have a really close look at the business and see how I could up-level it to be able to help you. And one of those first things, if you don't know, was the transition from ultimate speaker through to ultimate communicator. So that's what we're now known as, which is fantastic. So, you know, and I've had a number of conversations with amazing people like yourselves who have shared, I just want to be more authentic in my voice. I just want to feel like I'm being real when I'm actually speaking. I get told that I'm supposed to do it this way, that way, do video lives. I'm supposed to be on the public stage. Or I'm supposed to, you know, and in actual fact, not all of those methods are congruent with who we are as a communicator. And this is where the ultimate communication archetypes have found their place, because now I can show you how you can discover this for yourself. So what if we were to look at that today? If I could show you how you could do that, would that be exciting? Can I get a thumbs up? Yep. Cool. Okay, that's brilliant. So with no further ado, let's bring in the drum roll and introduce you to the ultimate communication archetypes. And with this, let's celebrate the close of 2020, this big celebration, and let's celebrate the launch of the ultimate communication archetypes and allow yourselves to just really enjoy the journey. So the very first thing I'd love to just explore with you is, like, what is an archetype? You know, we hear the word of branding archetypes, marketing archetypes, we hear personality archetypes, but what exactly is an archetype? And it's an interesting question, because they're often referred to as a model or a theme, and they're also often, which I love this term, is the power of patterns of power. Patterns of power. And when you look worldwide, if you look at any culture in the world, we can recognize, you know, archetypes are found worldwide within any culture. And some of the more popular ones you may be aware of are the mother archetype, father archetype, heroine, knight, victim, prostitute. They're archetypes, or they're themes or patterns of power. And so what happens is, you know, think about, okay, here's an example. So think about when you go networking and you go and you walk into a room and you meet all these different types of people. And I do a fun activity with my face-to-face trainings, where I'll say, you know, who do you meet when you're going into a networking event? And some people, you know, they say, oh, there's the matriarch, or the social butterfly, or the wallflower, or the jack-in-the-box, you know, the one that won't keep still, or the presenter, or the rescuer. There's all these different types. Well, they're all archetypes. They're patterns of power. So how this relates to the ultimate communication archetypes is that it's about recognizing what that pattern is for you, what that pattern of power is for you. And this is where I've identified the 8 communication archetypes, because in effect, what's happened with our communication and how we've developed as communicators is that with all our stories, our beliefs, our values, our experiences, our fears, our motivators, our courage, all of those things wrapped up in a package actually formulate who we are as a communicator. So what happens is, this means it opens up the choices for you. It gives us direction as to the choices based on who we are as a communicator, as to the choices that best suit us. Is this making sense? Yeah? I'm looking over here because the camera's here, but your visuals are over here. So that's great. Okay, beautiful. So let's dive in, and I'd love to introduce you to all 8 of these archetypes. And as you're doing it, now this is something I'd love you to do. As you're looking and listening, and we're going to be doing some participation as well, is think about which of the archetypes you most resonate with. Which one could be your top one, for example, and which one could be your supporting archetypes? Because in effect, we have 3 top archetypes that are our drivers, our motivators, and our 2 supporting ones will drive our top one. Now, a few of you have done this profiling tool, and this is what I actually created when I developed and up-leveled to Ultimate Communicator. I developed a profiling tool so you could ask questions, and this is you can identify who you are. So as you're doing it, who do you resonate with? Who do you know, who do you recognize in the archetypes? Because there'll be people, celebrities, people that you know that you will actually recognize traits. And I'd also love you to think about how will the information help you? Because this information can be applied to your professional life as well as your personal life. And it'd be really good fun if you can actually explore that and just think about where this could apply. All right, so with no further ado, let's introduce you to the very, very first archetype. And the very first one, in no particular order, because each of the archetypes are their own, they are a standalone. There's, of course, the blend, like I've just been speaking about, but not one is better than the other. They're all amazing, and they just all step into their communication genius zone when they know how. Okay, so introducing you to the Inspirer. Now, the beautiful Inspirer is the one who, and you can see there with the hand holding the plant, she or he is the quiet messenger. They are the ones with the quiet power. They're very humble, and their natural ability is to be able to mediate situations or handle situations, even difficult situations, but they do it with compassion, a fairness, a kindness, and they're very quite humble and quieter in the archetypes. And their mantra is, how can I help you? A lot of people who are an Inspirer, they often will take up a position in residential care, like as a carer's position, because they're very compassionate by nature, and that caring side wants to come through. So the challenge, and this is what I'm going to do with each of the archetypes, is to share with you like their communication calling. I'll share with you their mantra, and I'll share with you a challenge that can come up. Now, it's just a sliver of what this is about, but it gives you an idea of the essence of who they are. Each of the archetypes that I've done through the research that I've done and the study, I've identified at least 7 different strengths and 7 different challenges that each one individually has. And so with that, this will give you a snippet, an overview. So they're very humble, they're quiet messengers, the Inspirer, but the challenge for them is setting boundaries. Because what happens with an Inspirer is that they so want to please, they so want to say yes, that saying no doesn't come into their vocabulary. I can't even say the word, vocabulary. So there we are. So it's like they need to learn, and this makes what happens for them is that the public speaking or even communicating can become very draining for them. And this can change for them once they know how, but that seems to be one of their main challenges. So what I'm going to also introduce you to is a celebrity archetype that I think and know represents each of the archetypes. So the one I'm going to introduce you to, and then I'll get you to think of them as well. But the one that comes to mind when I think of an Inspirer is this wonderful lady. And would you agree that Jacinda Ardern is she speaks volumes with her compassion, her kindness, and the way that she goes about her work. I mean, it was in fact the reason why she got back into power this term was because of her personality and the way that she does business. It was interesting because as I was going through LinkedIn, I'll just show you a quote that I found, and she'd written this in LinkedIn. And isn't that interesting You know, people have criticized her for not being aggressive enough, not being assertive enough, not, you know, being too empathetic. And what she's done is she says, no. Do you know what I love about this? And this is what happens when you step into your power as a communicator, is that she's refusing to believe this. She's refusing to believe that the way she does things is wrong. Do you see? So when you're so comfortable within your skin, you can speak up on that and just follow through and keep doing what you know to be true for yourself. You're in your true purpose and power, which I think is fabulous. Okay, so allow me to introduce you to the next archetype. And our next one is Empress. Now, the Empress, they are the thought leaders. Their words are power. They're very influential. They have a presence when they walk into a room. People tend to look at them and go, oh, okay, I'm taking notice. And with that, they tend to have the natural leadership powers of being these qualities that influence from the stage. So it could be that it's one-to-one conversations, and definitely from the stage, they can really influence an audience just by the words that they use. Very powerful in that. And because their words empower others. But it's always for the, well, I won't say always, because sometimes people get disconnected, but when they're on purpose, their communication calling is for the greater good, to create that greater good. And their mantra is, together, let's build our empire, your empire. So they're very much around building you up, but being their inspiration and those influential words to help you get there. Now, the problem, the challenge that can come up, one of the main challenges that can come up for an empress is or an emperor, is their speaking style. They can come across very direct, and because they have things figured out very, very quickly, and they can see the way forward very, very quickly, they can sometimes get very impatient with people. And that can come across very intimidating for others. Now, think of the inspirer that I've just shared with you. Their tendency is sort of to process, and I know there's a couple of you who are inspirers on the call, so perhaps you're relating to this. But they tend to be quieter. They like to process the information, internalize, and come back with a quieter approach. Now you've got an emperor or an empress coming in, bam, with these really direct conversation. It's kind of like a break state and a disconnect for that person because it's too confronting. So with an empress, or an emperor, they need to be able to learn how to just adapt their communication to who they're speaking with. Remember that there's more than one way. The other thing that can happen, which does come up, and I'll show you an example in a moment, is a disconnect can happen from their true flow and purpose when they feel like their domain is being threatened. When it feels like their sphere of influence is out of their control, or it's being threatened on any level, then they can become very intimidating and very aggressive. So who do you think might be a celebrity archetype of the Empress or Emperor? Well, oh, how did he get in here? Okay, I'm having fun. But this is, of course, Donald Trump, well known. Now, like him or love him, it's all good. What did I read the other day? There's 72 million people that do like him and love what he does. So brilliant, that's great. But would you agree that perhaps he's just an example of the other end of the spectrum where there's that disconnect from, feeling threatened, loss of power, so attacking in order to keep his control of his domain? Yeah. So this is what we need to remind ourselves that we don't want to be, because really when the Empress is in their true communication calling, they are absolutely about the greater good and empowering others. So that was just for fun. The one that I have chosen, I'm wondering if you've got an idea of who might be, because there's many that we could choose. I've chosen one, but who you might know or know of that would represent an Empress or an Emperor. The one I've chosen is Michelle Obama. Now, she speaks volumes. I mean, she's got a new podcast that she started. She's written books on her book, Becoming. I mean, she speaks volumes, and when she stands on stage, it's like people listen. So she represents that Empress totally. And if I'd love to share a Empress to Empire story with you just quickly. This wonderful lady, Tanya Turner, she has, if you ever want to buy a gift for someone, or you want to you want to have a treatment yourself, go to Shine Beauty Salons. She's got like 7 salons throughout Queensland. Absolutely beautiful work that she does. But she came to me a few years ago, and she's the Sunshine Coast Outstanding Businesswoman of the Year. And Vicky Magic from Matters Magazine had referred her across to me because she was working this brilliant business, doing tremendously well, very, very successful. All of a sudden, with winning this award, she was thrown into the spotlight, and she needed someone to help her. And as she says here, you know, moved from that apprehensive speaker to confident presenter. Now, this is what happened, and she's such an inspiration, because what happened was she's got her speaking skills. We worked together. We did one-on-one work together, plus she attended some group events. And what happened was she had the opportunity. She was looking for a skincare range to bring back that would be her own. And she got an opportunity to go to France. Now, the organisation over there heard about her doing her, you know, getting this award, and they said, "You've got to speak to our team. You've got to speak to our staff. You know, we want you to present." Well, the outcome of that was that she actually became the face for Australia. She's the only licensee to bring in the Gemology skincare range. And you know, she's just gone great guns with her speaking now. And it's just brilliant. And this is what can happen when you really own your style, when you really own your communication, your uniqueness. Then you can step into your power and just really take it home. And that's why I share that story. So just get a thumbs up? We all good? We're all still here? Yep, great, fantastic, beautiful. That's lovely. All right, so allow me to introduce you to the next one. The next one is our luminary. Now, the luminary they are fun. They are the ones, you'll recognize this archetype because they illuminate wherever they go. They're charismatic. They've got this magnetism that exudes when they're out on stage. In fact, they're the ones that go out and they say, "Give me the biggest audience you can. I want 10,000 people. You know, give me the bigger the audience, the better." They just thrive being in that spotlight and that limelight. That is where they make that difference. And you know, they really are about creating that rich connection with their audience in such a way, because they are so magnetic. And it doesn't matter if they're in their tracky dacks at home or whether they're on stage, they just seem to exude magnetism, this charisma that people are drawn to. And their wonderful mantra is, "Be the shining light to reach and enrich the lives of others." So be the shining light to reach and enrich the lives of others. And that's what they're really about. Now, with the luminary, there's 2 things that can happen when they become disconnected with their archetype, one of the main things. And it can go 2 ways. One, there's this compulsiveness to outshine others. The spotlight has to be on them, so they become manipulative in that. Or the other end of the spectrum is that they hide all this wonderful shining light from the world. And it's such a shame, because they know they've got so much to give. So this can be, and of course, you can think about this, you know, this is going to impact their communication, because, you know, if you're not in your zone, if you're not doing it for the purpose that's true for you, your communication calling, it's going to impact the way that you influence others. So that summarizes the luminary. Now, the archetype that I've chosen, who would you choose? Just pop it in the chat box for us. Who would you choose? That would be your idea of a luminary. I'd love to hear, and Claire will share with us.
Yep, I think people are having a good think at the moment. The good thing is there's no right and wrong. Tony Robbins.
Yes, exactly. He is a luminary, totally. He has his audiences at 6,000 and more, doesn't he? And he just loves it. He's in his limelight. Who else?
Have a guess.
Have a guess. Yeah, exactly. And there's no right or wrong, because you know what? This is the thing, and this is what we'll talk about very shortly, just while you're thinking about this. We are a blend. So maybe you're thinking of someone that they may not be all luminary, but they might be an aspect of them that is a luminary aspect. So it could be that as well. And look, the thing is, it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It can be anyone. So it could be a neighbor, it could be a family, friend, someone you've known in the past. It doesn't have to be a celebrity, but it's just recognizing and associating so you can start to really integrate with each of these archetypes.
Yep, we've got another suggestion, Kim, and that's Oprah.
Oh, yes, isn't she? She just shines when she's on stage, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's with the group. She absolutely shines. I love that. Beautiful. Love it. What? Laughing.
Hey, Yvonne's put Claire, but I'm not sure which Claire she means.
Yes, because do you mean, I don't know where she's gone, but do you mean Claire Edwards, or do you mean Claire Pookie?
We have Warren Buffett. Oh, thank you, Yvonne. We have Warren Buffett as a suggestion.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because he doesn't have a problem actually speaking up. There's other archetypes which we might come back to him as we go through the different archetypes, but he's definitely got a luminary aspect to him because he has no problem at all actually speaking up. So brilliant, love it. Well, the celebrity archetype, we're good to go, fantastic. So the celebrity archetype that I've chosen, and you may or may not know this one, but it's Celeste Barber. Now, if you are familiar with her, she made her millions on Instagram a few years ago, where she took models, like the model on the left, Celeste is the one on the right, and she would mimic them and model them and just have a bit of fun. And she has made millions. And I actually have another photograph here because I thought she's so much fun. I just thought, well, let's bring up a couple of photographs. And she's amazing because she's also a very strong advocate for raising funds, because what she did at the end of last year with the bushfires is she raised $52 million just by mimicking models and actresses. Actresses will actually get her to model them or to mimic them. I was actually watching a YouTube video as I was doing my research for the webinar, and there was one of Gwyneth Paltrow, and she's moisturizing her legs, and of course you can just imagine how Celeste was doing it. She was falling over backwards and she's doing all these crazy things. So she's really she is a luminary because she's really happy to be in that and make a fool of herself, which is brilliant. Okay, so let's move to the next one. So the next archetype I'm going to introduce you to is the Sage. Now, the Sage is they are the wise one. They are the advocates. They're when I say advocates, they're like the advocates for getting a task done. They're very strong and very directed in their focus. Nothing sways them off their focus, their task. They become very task orientated, but they're very much the academics, the professors, the wise ones, and they're extremely good. Their communication calling is really about sharing their expertise and their knowledge with others, and doing that through the research and the knowledge, and sharing that as they speak or as they promote or whatever it is they're doing. But that is how they do it. Now, their mantra is what's the solution to the outcome, because they're very, very task focused and will be fantastic on a team as far as a researcher and really getting the job done. The downfall, and you might be getting an idea of where that disconnect might happen for them, is that they're so focused on the task that they forget there's a human factor, and forget that there's a human being involved. And so the engagement there can fall off. They're like telling people about the information. Of course, they love it. They love their research. They love their knowledge. They love sharing, but they forget people are going to turn off if they don't get the stories and the examples that go with it. So that's the beautiful Sage. And, you know, they are so wise. They just have this wealth of knowledge. They're amazing. And the celebrity archetype that I've chosen for this one is, in fact, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, Ruth she's a sage through and through. And if you're familiar with her work, she actually passed away this year. She passed away at 88, but right up until the last, she was working. She's a lawyer. She's also a former justice of the Supreme Court in the USA, and she was about gender equality and creating change around that. And you know, even her team and herself used to say it was so surprising, because they would win case after case after case, and they created such change around gender equality because they would go in so researched, and the others were so unprepared. Their opponents were so unprepared, and this is the strength of a sage. They're brilliant at it, and so yeah, wonderful qualities, wonderful. So, and I just want to share with you at this moment, because you might be thinking you need to be one or another. In actual fact, you will find that you have your top 3 archetypes. But what happens is you will be all aspects of all of those archetypes. So there'll be an aspect of you that is a sage, that is a luminary, that is an empress, all of them. And what an example of that was when I did my skydive. Now, I'm not a sage. It's not one of my top archetypes. But what I knew I needed to do was, for me to do this skydive, I needed to do my research. So here I was on the computer. I was looking at YouTube programs. I was looking at, you know, people's reviews. What had been their experience? What happened? You know, how did they find it? The simulated effect of, like, as close as you could getting out of that icy cold cavity in the plane, jumping through that hole, and I know that sage aspect actually helped. Actually, did the skydive. Such an attractive look, isn't it? But it helped me actually step into doing the jump, because I really felt I wanted to do it, but I was really, really scared. And so what I remember, as I actually was at the cavity, you know, waiting to jump out with my instructor, Andre, attached to me, thank goodness. And I remember the 2 words that came to me as I went out, and I was still nervous, but it felt like I'd been there before. And the 2 words were fun and freedom. And that's what I said to myself out loud as I jumped out of the plane. And I really, truly don't think I would have done that to that way and had as much fun with it if I hadn't done my sage research. So you can really step into the other aspects and bring through what you need to, depending on your situation, depending on what you need to do. Okay, so what I'd love to introduce you to is the next archetype, and we have the connector. Now, our wonderful connector, they are the conduits, they are the networkers, they are the ones that really value relationships, they're the relationship builders. And they are the ones, they have this beautiful ability to bring people together. And when they do this, it's like they value the relationships so much, and they have this beautiful ability to be able to communicate with people, to bring and build up those relationships. That is where they step into their power with communication. And their mantra is, who can I connect you with? Because they cannot go into a room and not see where they can connect resources, people, connecting, you know, where, you know, you need to speak to this or you need to do this course. They just can't help themselves. They just see that way to connect people. And it's such a wonderful quality. Can you see how they're all so different? They're all so very different, aren't they? They've all got their own qualities and their own strengths and their own you know, things that set them back as well. So their challenge with the connector is confidence in public speaking. And I know that can show up for a lot of the archetypes, but it seems to be, from the research that I've done, it seems to show up stronger for a connector. And because they're so good at one-on-one, there can be even more self-doubt when it comes to public speaking and speaking to groups. But when they absolutely can do it. It's just that overcoming those fears and developing the skills around that means that they can do that. So that is the connector. And I wonder, come on, Who are you going to put into the chat box as far as the connector? Who would you think of as a connector? Anyone you know, or a celebrity, or anything at all? Who would you add?
Okay, I can hear people thinking in the background.
Yes. Very good. I love it. I'll give you a moment.
Well, whilst people are thinking, Kim, would someone like Ellen be a connector, or would she have that in her top 3?
I reckon Ellen would have it in her top 3. She could, I think it would definitely be her second or third. I think her top one I think she's more of an empress or a luminary. So I think it might be her connector as a third, because she's so good, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's so good, the way she connects people, the way she helps people, that she comes from that place. I know she's gone off the rails a little bit with recent times, but the thing is, the main essence of what she's done for many, many years is she's really created that good. So I absolutely would say that she's got connector in her top archetypes. Absolutely.
Okay, they're starting to come in now. So Beverly, who's on the call, says, I'm a connector, Kim.
Yes, you are. You are, Beverly. You're spot on. You totally are. And that's why you have your business network group. And that's why when I've been along to your groups and spoken at your group, it's like, you know, I could see the way that you network with people and the way that you talk with people. You come from that place. It's that beautiful heart space. It's beautiful quality. Absolutely. Spot on.
And we've also got Bob Hawke.
Bob Hawke. Well, there you go. That's an interesting one. I hadn't thought of Bob Hawke. Great one. Yeah, I think he is. Or was, I should say. Beautiful. Fantastic. Good choices. Good choices. Well, the one that I've chosen is Oprah. Now, and she is, you know, a few different archetypes, and we talked about her being a luminary as well, which she absolutely is. But the reason why I've chose her as a connector is I go back to her Oprah Winfrey show, and she had this amazing way of, when she had a guest on the show with her, and she'd be talking to them, but she just included the whole audience, didn't she? She had this amazing way of, like, speak to one, but speak to all. And that to me is like what a connector does. You find them at a networking event, you know, for example, and they'll be speaking to one person, but everyone in that little circle or wherever they're talking is included in that space. And that's what a connector does in their truth, in their true purpose. Oh, good job. Good ideas too. Okay, allow me to introduce you to our next archetype, which is the campaigner. Now, the campaigner is on there, as the symbol says, the true north. And the campaigner they are the advocate for change. They are the conscious advocate for change. They are around, they campaign, and they put their heart and soul into anything that has importance for them. Essentially, you know, whatever cause. Now, when I say cause, it can be something as big as climate change, gender equality, or it could be on a smaller scale where it's the family or a business or whatever it is, or your pet. It's what happens is they get so passionate about creating change and shifting, and it's so important to them, they'll put everything into, and utmost everything into that particular situation. I'll give you an example. I went to school with a girl, and we're still Facebook friends. She's back in New Zealand still, and I remember, as 10 years of age, the two of us, I remember being fascinated because she just loved babies and family and friendship, and she was just so, you know, that was her cause, was her family. And it's no surprise now that I see on Facebook just hundreds of pictures of her family and babies and grandkids and great-grandkids, and it's just amazing. So, you know, a campaigner can be really big scale or on a smaller scale as well, but it's still that conscious advocate for change and cause. And their mantra is take a stand for what you believe in. And that's what they absolutely live by. The challenge for the campaigner is that they can have a challenge in where they invest their time and energy. So, and they can be pulled in so many directions and so many different causes that they are interested in, that it can really dilute how they get their message out, and it can dilute how they communicate, because the disconnect can happen is that it impacts the impact of their message. It's influencing the impact or how effective their message is. So getting really clear on one cause and going for it is their best way. Okay, so the celebrity archetype. The one that I have chosen is Emma Watson. And I wonder who you would have chosen. Now, Emma Watson from Harry Potter. Now, the reason why I chose Emma is that she is an advocate for change. She is about gender equality as well, in fact. And she spoke at the United Nations and did a brilliant talk. If you get a chance to have a look and see her video, I would absolutely recommend it. And the interesting thing, the reason why I chose her is because she is a campaigner, but when you watch her on the video, she's actually a very private person, and you see a quietness come through. It's a solidness, but it's a quietness. And in fact, her top archetype would be inspirer. She is an inspirer, but what she's done is she has stepped into her campaigner in order to deliver her message. And this is what we can all do. We can step into those different aspects of ourselves when we know how. So that's the Emma Watson that I've selected for the campaigner. And our next
Kim, I just wanted quickly, if that's okay, we've got some fabulous suggestions coming in, so I just wanted to acknowledge them.
Great.
We've got Steve Irwin.
Great.
And Bob Brown.
Steve Irwin. Now, Bob Brown, can you refresh my memory?
The politician, the Greens.
Oh, yes. I knew the name and I was trying to think, where's the association? Okay, well, I don't know much about Bob Brown, but which archetype were they thinking of associating with?
For the campaigner.
With the campaigner. Beautiful, beautiful. And that's what the Greens stand for, don't they? Fantastic. Yeah. Yep. And Steve Irwin, absolutely. And Terry Irwin as well. They're the whole family, that whole Australia Zoo is about that, isn't it? Great suggestion. Thank you. Yep, love it. Love it. It's great to see how you're relating to it and you're identifying with it, because it starts with acknowledging it before taking it to the next level. So great, well done. So the next archetype is creator. Now the creator, they are the magicians. They are the alchemists of communication, if you like, and they are the possibility thinkers. So they have this very natural, innovative way of being able to help people see the possibilities. And because they're creative in their natural tendencies to be creative and original, this means that they can really see the possibilities for others, whether that's one-on-one or whether they're doing it from the stage. Now, and this is brilliant because when they come into their own, they're really comfortable doing this. Going out and public speaking from the stage means that they really just own that space and they can bring in this fresh perspective and original ideas, and they're fascinating to watch because they're so creative in what they do. And the mantra that I've chosen for them is, what can we create? So, because that's what they're about. It's like they work with you, or they'll have a conversation with you, and think again when you've met people and they're coming up with ideas and say, oh, have you tried this? Have you done this? They're creators. They're very, very good at coming up with original ideas. The disconnect can happen for them. Challenge that can happen is that because it's so important for them to be original, they can get down on themselves if they don't feel that they're original enough in the way that they're getting their message out. And this is where that frustration and self-confidence can get shaken, because it's really important for them to be original. So what's really important for them is to get that balance between originality and that balance of life, whether that be personal or professional. So yeah, just getting that balance between the two. And well, who would you add as far as a creator? Who would you add as what ideas do you have for our as a representative of our creator? Man or woman, friend or foe? Oh.
One that's coming into my mind as you were speaking, it is actually a guy, and that's Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, absolutely. Oh man, yes, he was, yes. absolutely ticks the boxes as a creator. Talk about innovation plus. Absolutely. Yep. What else? Who else?
We've got someone, it just says, I don't have a name, which is, it just says from blank to everyone. I'm a creator. So whoever you are,
I have a really good idea who that might be. Would that be you, Vanessa? I thought so. Vanessa is the most brilliant creator. What she does, jewelry and uniqueness jewelry, and she does so beautiful. I almost put her earrings on. I ran out of time. I didn't go back. Anyway, she's got gorgeous, gorgeous jewelry. And so creator, yes, she is in her magic as a creator. Love it, love it. Spot on, Vanessa.
We've got Dr. John Martini.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Fantastic. I love the ideas that are coming through.
Great suggestions, yeah.
Great suggestions. Yeah, brilliant. Totally agree. Any more?
That's it for now, but Vanessa, thanks you for the compliments.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And Olivia is who I've chosen. And the reason why I chose Olivia is that, you know, she's gone through 2 cancers, her first cancer 30 years ago, and she's going through it again. But the reason why I chose her is that she uses her creativity in order to heal. And you know, I actually remembered that we had one of her CDs, and so I pulled it out, and this was her Grace and Gratitude CD, and all the songs on the back she actually wrote when she was going through the first cancer. And so it's like she really steps into her creative part, which she is anyway, as a singer, as a performer, as an actress. But yeah, she really speaks creator as well. Okay, so let's go in. We're up to our 8th archetype. I can't wait. Okay, beautiful. And we have the visionary. Now, the visionary, they are the futurists. They are the pioneers. They are the innovators. Now, their natural ability, their communication calling is to really look into the future. They have this amazing ability to actually look into the future and see what is possible for others. So from that perspective, they really create trust and inspiration with the people they speak to. So they make brilliant CEOs because they're at the front of their business. They've got to lead by creating the vision. And their mantra is, let's create the future. And their downfall can be, you know, sometimes it's really easy for them to express for other people what that vision is and communicate that, but they can have a challenge doing it for themselves. And that's where the disconnect can happen. And that impacts how they communicate the message. It also impacts the relationship that they have with the people they're wanting to reach. So I'm going to share with you this one. The celebrity archetype that I chose for this one is Arianna Huffington. And I know that you'll be thinking of others that are the visionary as well. But she spoke to me because, you know, it's Huffington Post. You know, she's written books. She sees the vision, the way she speaks on media and that. You see how she's very much around the focus and creating that big picture. But what I would love to do is, you know, there's a beautiful, beautiful client on the call today. And I asked her if she would like to share her story, because I did the Ultimate Communication Archetypes, the profiling tool with her, with Catherine. And Claire, if you would like to unmute Catherine, or Catherine can unmute herself, I would just love to ask Catherine, what was your aha? Because you are a visionary, a campaigner, and a sage, your sage being your 3rd one, and now you've got an idea of all these archetypes. And Catherine realized that her sage was ruling it. She's got an amazing business that she runs. She's got an amazing team that she works with, but her sage was running it. Now, can you imagine? They're the researcher, they're the systems, they're the processes, and what the business was needing was the visionary. What was your aha, Catherine, when you realized that you're a visionary? Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you. Hang on a sec, Catherine.
She was unmuted, so maybe it's just a challenge with the device that she's working from.
If you have a look at the where the microphone is, there's a little arrow, and if you click on the arrow, on her arrow, it says it like it gives permission to.
Yeah, no, she's unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, hello.
It was my settings. I've been having real trouble with my audio settings since the latest Windows update, so it won't swap over for me properly. Hello everyone, I'm Catherine. My aha moment, well, as Kim said, I always thought I was a task-oriented person in the background. Give me an accounting spreadsheet, give me something and I'll just go 1, 2, 3 and follow it. Then I took over a business and had to step into a CEO role and panicked because I didn't think I had the ability to do that. I went through this process with Kim, and I know Kim from a previous career, so we had a bit of a connection there. So I felt comfortable getting this profile done by Kim, because it's very scary, because I thought, I'm not a CEO, I can't do this. That's not my role. And I was a bit scared I was going to be told you need another job or something like that. But so my aha moment was, after doing the questionnaire and talking to Kim, was that my role is to be upfront and to lead this group and to spread our message of what we do. And the aha was, this is so freeing, I can now be myself. And since then, I'm no longer scared of my role. I feel motivated to get on with it, and I'm actually not hiding in my sage task motivated role, which it was like taking a Valium to me. It was just so comforting to get back in there when I was frightened. So I feel like I've got a positive future now, where before I thought the business was going to go under and there's nothing I could do about it. So
Beautiful.
It's very emotional, so it's really hard to explain.
I love that. I love that. And I remember this conversation. That's why I was so, thank you, Catherine, for sharing it, because it was such an aha, because when we did it and I talked with her and we had a conversation live and I said to her, I said, your whole physiology has changed. It was almost like the bird was allowed out of the cage to fly. And it was like she'd stepped into her zone. And I love that. You just lit up. You're excited. That was what I noticed. Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, thanks for that. That's great. It's interesting to hear other people's perspective, isn't it? I like to hear it from the real. So that's great. Okay, so we're just about to wrap up, because I want to come back to your questions. I just wanted to share with this, Janine Howard is also, she's my business mentor, and I know she's a business mentor and others know her on the call, is that, this is what's enabled her. She's really just stepped into her knowing her style of communicating, how she markets her business, as a leader in her company, and how she connects with her clients, her potential clients. And that was her experience of knowing her communication archetypes. So there we have it. We have all 8 archetypes. You've just had a snippet of just a touch, just a slice of what each one is about. And that's all of the archetypes. And I'm just wondering, how many of you are recognizing which archetype you are? Do you want to just pop in the chat box with, yeah, you're recognizing it? How many of you are empresses? Just pop your hand up. Or emperors, of course. Yep. Luminaries. Yeah. Sages. Yep. Yes. Yeah. Visionary. Did I say visionary? Creator. Yep, beautiful. And campaigner. Have I missed any out? Campaigner, yep. Beautiful, I love it. So you're all recognizing where you sit. So that's fantastic. Shane, did you put your hand up? I didn't see you put your hand up. Okay, so look, I just want to share with you, because I'd love to move to your questions now to find out what it is that you would like to ask. And but first of all, just to share with you, you've got a snippet of what this is. You've got a quick overview of the archetypes, and with Christmas around the corner, and what if you knew what your communication archetypes are, so that you could really step into it? Because really your awareness starts with knowing who you are as a communicator first and foremost, and then you can take it to where you want to. Just like Catherine's talking about, She's approaching her business in a different way. She's approaching it with her team in a different way as a result of knowing who she is. And so what I'd love to offer you is a special deal, which is I'll do the profiling tool with you and you'll get that. It only takes 10 minutes to do. You get a 45-minute one-on-one call with me. We do that via Zoom, and I'll actually do a personally written report of what your top archetypes are and where your strengths are, where your gifts are, where your challenges show up, based on our conversation and how you've answered the questions in the profile. And what I'll also do is we'll look at where you are currently and where you want to be in as far as your outcomes with your communication, whether that's communication one-on-one or public speaking, networking, whatever that is. And I'll give you the roadmap so that you can see the steps of what you need to do in order to do that. Now that's normally $297 with GST included. I'm making it $197 GST included. And if you really feel like this is something that you want to find out, you want to find out your top ultimate communication archetypes, I would love to do this with you, because I get so excited about finding out for you, with you. It's really great. So Claire, I think you're going to pop in the link into the chat box so that anyone would like to book that in. You can click on that. And I'll let you do that, and I'll let you think about what that is for you. Now, just want to remind you before we ask the questions is, when you own, just to share with you, just when you know your own ultimate communication archetypes, when you really know who you are as a communicator, just imagine, just take yourself out to the future of what you want to do with 2021. Let's leave 2020 behind. Let's put closure on that. Let's start fresh. Imagine going in, knowing your archetypes for 2021. Imagine what that would be and do for you in your business and your personal life. All right, now I'd love to ask you your questions. What questions do you have? If you could pop them in the chat box. Are you okay to go for a couple more minutes? If you do need to go, then I do understand, please do. But I'm happy to stay on just to answer any questions, because I know that this is important.
Okay, so we've got quite a few questions coming in, Kim. Let me start with the first one.
Yep.
And it says, I am all of these in the different circles I work and live in. So that might be where my problem is. I'm having to be in 3 different communication archetypes each morning or afternoon or evening.
Yep.
Do you suggest I try to focus or improve in one or two, or just move between them with more understanding?
That's a really good question. Fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is it starts with knowing who you are specifically, because I'm getting a sense from what you're saying in the question that you've got a sense of who you are, and that's why you can shift between the different archetypes, which is great. It's knowing how to do that. It's having the awareness of how. So I say yes, but it's a qualified yes, because when you can fully understand what your top archetypes are, you fully understand how you step into the strength of your top archetypes so that you can adapt it for the situations that you're in. Because it's not a one box fits all, which is clearly what you're saying. You're needing to sway and change depending on your situation. So it's a yes, but it's a qualified yes because you need to understand who your top archetypes are first and foremost, so that you have an understanding of where it sits, so that you then know how to step into the strength of each of those and how to do that and when to do that. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Does it? Good. Okay, cool. That's great. Thanks, Jane. Great question. I love it. I love it. And I saw the thumbs up, so we're all good.
Yeah, I don't want to put people's names or not. There's a quick practical question, Kim, and then I'll go back to the other ones, is how long is this offer available?
Good question. Okay, this offer is available for the next week. What I'm doing is making it, because I know that, busy time and you need to make a decision. What I am going to suggest, though, is that we do have Christmas around the corner, and yes, there are spots available. I've actually freed up the next few days so that people can actually get in quicker. Yeah, look, sooner the better, because then you're prepared for the Christmas events, the networking events, and you're ready for 2021. But yes, it is available for 1 week. Okay. What else?
Great, thank you. We've got, can I change my communication archetype to suit my audience or where I'm speaking?
Oh, yes, you can. Absolutely. Yes, you can. And this is why, coming back to Shane's question, was around knowing your archetypes. When you know them so well, then you have the flexibility, because you're so comfortable with who you are, to be able to shift to your situation. And think back on the skydive that I did. That skydive, I actually went into the aspect of Sage, which is further down for me in the archetypes. And I was able to go into that aspect of what I needed to do my research. So yes, absolutely.
Fantastic, thank you. Another question, are some communication archetypes more naturally confident than others?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Through my experience and the research that I've done, the ones that tend to be more confident are the luminaries and the empresses. But when we say confidence, are we talking extrovert, introvert? Because all of them are confident, and they're all confident within their own communication genius zone. And so if you're talking about extrovert, the ones that tend to be more out there are the empresses and the luminaries. The others tend to take a quieter approach, or creator even will be quite extroverted. But they're all very, very confident when they're comfortable within themselves. Yeah.
Lovely. We've got a couple more. I find making small talk at networking events hard. How can the archetypes help me with this?
Oh, wow. That question comes up so much. You know, it's so interesting. We meet these people I hear so often, and I think the stats say that at least 80% of people actually don't like networking because of this. So the archetypes, what happens is when you can go in and you can recognize the different archetypes, because you get a sense of who they are, because you know who you are and you know what the others are, you get a sense of who you're talking to. It's brilliant, because then you can adapt your communication to who you're talking to. But it's just about knowing how to do that. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, we've got one. Oh, sorry, you've got one last question. I seem to make the same mistakes when I'm doing my talks. Is this something that will help me change the habit?
Yeah, definitely. Again, I sound like I'm repeating myself, but it's true. It's like you know yourself so well that you can't go back to what you used to do, because you've learned something new. You've taken things to another level. It's like anything. When you think about it, we learn how to walk. We can't go back to crawling. We know what to do. So you have awareness. It starts with that awareness, and the more awareness you have, the more you have it opens up those choices. And you know what I was talking about before at the very, very beginning about archetypes, and I was talking about how it's made up of the stories, the values, the beliefs, the motivators and the courage and what have you. It makes up who we are as a communicator. We don't have to be stuck there. We can change as communicators. And when we become very comfortable with who we are, and we really get to know who we are, we can slot into wherever we want to, and therefore it becomes easy. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's all the questions.
Oh, great questions, guys. That was brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Just lovely. I think it's brilliant. I've just so enjoyed doing this with you. I really, really have. So, if you really feel like you want to take up the offer, you have got the week to do it, but I have got spaces this week, and I would love to do this with you, because, as I say, I get excited doing it as well. It's such a ton of fun seeing who you are as a communicator, and how you do it, and how you can do it better to help you improve that. And that's what I love to help people do, love to help clients do. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. Thank you for not minding going over. I think this has been absolutely brilliant. And if you want to put any last thoughts into the chat room, I'm very, very happy to. Have you all had fun? Have you all enjoyed it? Cool, fantastic. That's great. I can see a few nods and smiles and things. Excellent. Oh, that's just brilliant. Well, I've had a ton of fun as well. And look, I just want to wish you an absolute Merry Christmas, and stay well. Just have an amazing time with your family, with your friends, whatever you're choosing to do, and just have an incredibly beautiful Christmas. I just wish you all the very best, and let's connect. Okay. we'll wrap up here and thank you so much. Alrighty, bye everyone.